Okay, okay, let's don't ask that question because we don't want to get you in trouble. We want to come down before that gets banned somehow. You know, there's probably some attorney waiting for some mishap so we can all make money. That's a terrible thing to say.
But also, you know, I've done quite a few foams on cocktails before. Yeah. And even...
Like what, an herb foam or what, sugar?
I mean, you use like soy lecithin and then you add like a little, you could add an herb in there, you could add some citrus in there on top of a cocktail. An absinthe foam. People are doing absinthe foam a lot, and that's really
What's that taste like?
Black licorice. You get it's anise based.
I like that.
And so they would do that maybe on top of a Sazerac, the cocktail I was telling you about earlier. They'd put an absinthe foam on top of that. I haven't really worked too much into gels. You know, I know people are doing like edible cocktails with gels and stuff, but I haven't really gotten into that.
Okay, so more like the Jello shots, but a little bit classier. Is
that
what you're talking about?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. You know, people will do layered, in a martini glass, layered gelatin like shot. I mean, a layered cocktail of gelatin. I haven't really even tried any, but
So are you for hire for private parties?
If I can get off work.
To get a group of girlfriends together?
If I can get off work, I am, yeah.
Of course, you have everything there. You know, you could, you could just probably coordinate an afternoon or something.
Yeah, I have my own little traveling kit too that I take to parties or friends' houses and stuff like that. So.
Right. Well, we might have to have a video because we're trying to do more video with the show.
Okay.
And, you know, of course, this will go up on video too for the people who are outside the listening area to watch. But
gotcha.
Yeah, it'd be really, really fun to just have a demonstration of different cocktails.
Okay.
And
actually, I have a few videos I could even send you.
Oh, that would be fun.
That we put together. So.
Oh, if you'd like those to go up on my website, people would enjoy that, or a link to them at least.
Could definitely do that.
Because when I do my blogs too, I do a blog about this, which I'll be writing today yet, so that'll be a lot of fun. Well, what an exciting thing!
Yeah.
What a fun job!
It is.
Where do you fall in with I certainly get the sense from you. This isn't about coming in and getting plastered or
and that's another.
This is just taking it into a whole nother realm.
That's also another thing that, you know, people that are drinking like a lot of rum and cokes out there and stuff like that, they don't really, you know, I mean, people still do get plastered on classic cocktails.
Yeah,
let's be honest. But
they're really trying to fill out their card.
They're not just drinking to get drunk with those. You know, they're actually drinking to enjoy the cocktail.
It's a different.
I mean, how often is someone really saying, "Oh, I really enjoyed that rum and coke with really, really cheap rum," and I mean, really, I think it tastes terrible.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
And really, I just like to see, you know, more bars get away from that.
Right. And they're still going to be there, but you go into the right kind of establishment like yours. It is again for the taste experience, the whole experience, because it's not only, you know, the smells, the flavors. It's the presentation too.
Right.
We didn't get to talk too much about that. Tell me about presentation.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's all about my customers at the bar. I would like to, you know, make their drink right in front of them so they can see everything I'm doing, and
that's
if
part of the experience.
If I'm lighting it on fire, do it right in front of them, or garnishing their drink, finishing it off.
Right, and all of that goes into creating your own. You know, what's the garnish? How's it going to present?
Exactly.
You know, what type of glass? You know.
Definitely.
You have all sorts of options.
There are so many different glasses that we use.
Do you see it as an artistry, as a bit of an art? You do.
Yeah,
and I like that part of it.
Like when I hire people, I want them. You know, I try to find people with some art background, that some creative background at least, that they can get inspired by. Because when I started bartending, I thought I do other things. This isn't my first passion. It isn't. It's just something I just came across that I liked. So, but really, you try and find someone that can be molded and start to enjoy doing this. You know.
They do have to have an artistic bent, a creative bent.
Definitely.
And certainly have to enjoy the palate, the whole part of it with the tasting and you know, I mean, you know, we know, I doubt it's going to be someone who's going to come in that's going to be like the super picky eater type. They're going to be the type that's going to order the most exotic thing on the menu. That's the type of person you'd want to come in and mold into the type of bartender mixologist, you know, creating cocktails that you'd have, because they have a real palette that they enjoy challenging and exploring with.
You know, one thing a bartender used to be too before Prohibition and everything, is they used to be like a jack of all trades. You could really, they'd be well versed in all the events of the day, whatever's going on, and that's someone that you could come in and talk to about anything. And really, they were a lot more respected than they are nowadays.
Well, that's interesting you even bring that up, because, you know, that's what you hear about. You know, between your hairdresser and your bartender, they're going to know all your stories.
Right.
You know, probably your bartender more than your hairdresser.
Yeah.
Once the cocktails are rolling. So you feel like that's also part of your job in a way.
Definitely.
That you're there to lend an ear and...
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's very important to be able to talk to people that come in. So
there has to be a different person, though, that's going to come in and sit at your bar versus the person who's going to, obviously, they're going to be looking for an interaction with the bartender, right? Versus a person, even if they came in alone, that choose to go over here with their book or...
Right, definitely. You have to kind of
iPad.
Feel people out, see if they want to talk to you. If not, it's totally fine.
So you must like that part of it, too.
I do, yeah. Well, yeah, one thing that really just makes me more happy than anything is finding drinks that people really like that they didn't know that they did before.
Yeah, I love the adventure of it.
Someone that said, like, for instance, not too many women that I know love Scotch. Only, you know,
that's
only
my
a certain
second
handful.
choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
But to make them a Scotch drink that they like is a lot of fun. Or something, you know, if they don't think they like gin, they've probably been having some cheap, you know, crappy gins. But you know, to make them a gin cocktail that they really like is fun. So.
You know, this radio show is one of my bucket list items, and it just happened to turn out that I had an opportunity.
Okay.
But one of my other bucket list items, and my husband really gives me a hard time about this, is to be a bartender.
Really?
Believe it or not. Because I can just see me really enjoying also the fast pace of it, where you have to be thinking and doing. But the reason I may never see myself even trying that, and he threatens me that, you know, I always think I'm going to go to one of the local restaurants in town and do that. And he's like, you're not going to do that. It's the learning curve. Yeah. You know, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, that sounds good. And I love to watch a skilled bartender. In fact, Veterans Day, I would happen to be with my father, and we went into a restaurant, and it was super busy, and they were actually doing a promotion for veterans that they could get a free meal, and he had never sat at the bar.
Okay.
When he went to a restaurant, he always just got a table, and this is a chain restaurant, but still, I said, well, let's just go sit at the bar, and he got the biggest excitement and enjoyment out of watching that bartender, and I am telling you that, I mean, you got to be smart.
Yeah.
You have to be smart. He sent out, you know, more signature drinks, and the way he concoct them and make them, and, you know, the wait staff were coming around. I mean, it's I think that would be kind of fun. You know, it's almost like, you know, get geared up for the big game, you know.
It's true, yeah.
You've got to get in the flow. Your head's got to be in it. And he enjoyed that. He'd never done that. I haven't done that before, but he'd never sat at the bar. And, you know, it really does have you appreciate a skilled bartender. And I thought, how could I think I could ever do that?
Yeah, I try it. Any restaurants I go to, a lot of times I try to sit at the bar, or at least near it, so I can, I like to always watch what other people are doing, you know, and how they're doing it.
Now, is there a friendly camaraderie with that you could tell someone, another bartender, say in New York or something, or when you go to New Orleans, and just say, this is what I do? And is there a friendly sharing of information?
Sometimes.
Especially if you're from out of town?
Definitely that's how we work at our restaurant, but other places it's not. I've heard of my friends working at other places and saying that there's just the people who train them don't share their secrets, you know. But that's really how we think it's going to be run. You know, if someone can make the same cocktail that I make them if I'm not there. That's really what I would like, you know. I mean, there is a certain sense of people, you know, of, I don't know, pride that you can take in by someone saying, no, we like your drinks better. But still, you want them to have a good experience if you're not making them your own drinks. Well,
especially in your own establishment.
Right.
That your own coworkers can, if you're having a day off or something, that they can do that. But then even, you know, just the basics of mixing and mixology and what goes with what, you know, that different bartenders would be willing to share. But, you know, a lot of people see a lot of proprietary, especially if they're thinking of creating their own line of bitters to market. You have to be careful with that and who you share that with, those recipes with, because you have to be able to make it unique enough to call it your own. So.
Exactly.
Well, thanks again.
Yes,
Griff.
thank you.
So fun to have you. A big thanks to my listeners for staying tuned in to the Joan Jerkovich Show here on 910 KINA. We're here with our second guest for this New Year's weekend, and his name is Chad Bowman, and he's a sommelier, and it's if you don't know what that is, it's a trained and knowledgeable wine professional. They often work in fine restaurants. They specialize in all aspects of wine service as well as wine and food matching. And from my research, and we're going to ask Chad about this, while anyone can kind of call themselves a wine expert, there's so much more training and education involved in becoming a certified and then even most certainly a master sommelier. So welcome, Chad.
Hello, hello.
And tell us again about some of this training, because this is a pretty specialized area.
It absolutely is. As far as training goes, there are a few separate academies and guilds that are in charge of, what's how you say, giving you your certification. They're the Court of Master Sommeliers, who I am certified through, is probably the largest and most well-recognized.
And I understand, from my research, that was established in 1977.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Going back just to start some foundation of what a wine expert is. They wanted to give you credentials for being in the industry and being the professional that everybody knew you were, but taking it a step further. And really today has become very trendy and cool and becoming a professional for the rest of your life within the wine industry. I will say the sommelier of today is so much different than the sommelier of old days. We don't wear tuxedos, we don't have our little tasting cups around our necks, and
yeah, what is that little tasting cup called?
Well, actually, you know,
taste-of-in?
Yeah, a taste-of-in. I mean, they're just little cups that you would pour wine into, taste yourself just to make sure everything is correct, there's no flaws, you're serving the customer the correct beverage. But even today,
and I understand historically when I was researching those, they got started because in the candlelit days, when they only had candlelight, they couldn't really see by looking at the glass or through the glass, so they had to have a somewhat shiny apparatus, which was like a little shiny silver bowl that could actually let them
reflect the light,
because again, you're going to tell us more about the color and
it's
all.
It's a huge thing about wine. It
right.
is the coloration. I will say it's there are some exceptions to the rule, obviously, but also those taste-of-ins, if you look deeper, they're actually the perfect mouthful. If you fill them up perfectly, it's the perfect mouthful of liquid, whether it be water, wine, or spirits, or whatever. So that was another thing that made them really cool, is just the perfect serving. I think it's 1.5 ounces exactly. So it's just one of those things.
Is that more of a European
trend? It is.
It
started in
Britain.
Exactly. It's just one of those. It's old. It's the old school side of the sommelier. Obviously, we've never forgotten about it, but the sommelier of the past is the person that would walk around the restaurant talking down to you versus making you feel comfortable and teaching you and educating you as you go along. That's the big difference. There's also been a revival of a younger generation, 21, 22, 23-year-olds getting into wine instead of waiting into their 30s and 40s. Now, because of that, the knowledge base is so much greater and people are getting into wine at such a younger age, that this sommelier trend, if you will, is becoming so much bigger and so much more in depth. And there's so much more knowledge out there. And with social media, with computers and everything like that, you're finding so much more faster than you would before.
Now, you've been talking about this as a career, so I assume you're looking to be employed by a fine restaurant somewhere, possibly.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things. There's a couple different thoughts in the industry. I work for a distributor based in Wichita, and we sell wine to restaurants, to retailers, and then there's the restaurant side. I mean, it's a whole different thinking. Restaurant, I don't want to quantify, but restaurant people have a different way of thinking. They stay up a little bit later because when people go to restaurants, typically their day starts at noon and doesn't end until midnight, versus a typical 9 to 5 that's the exact opposite. So I mean, there's definitely different ways of thinking, and a sommelier that works in a restaurant versus a wine salesman like myself, we have very, very different days, the way our schedules are put together. So it's actually